This is my shed, it lives by a hedge in my tiny little yard. Swear you'll hear us harping on, so come join us for a chat in my shed.
Well, welcome to another episode of Shed TV. It's good to have my good friend Iain with me, my friend I surf with. Hence, we got our Hawaiian shirts. And I just want to say a thank you to my mum who made my shirt.
Oh my goodness, that's another level.
Yeah. But anyway, Iain, do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Iain Price. I'm a neuroscientist, trainer and coach. And I've been doing that for quite some time now, and that's kind of how we've rediscovered each other, isn't it? So I trained as a neuroscientist initially, and now I do a lot of training and coaching. I've worked with charities, and particularly usually try and help people sort of unlock their thinking to get away from stuff that, or around stuff that they've really struggled with in the past. And I've done a lot of work within schools as well for about 7 years for two charities, working it's confidence really through public speaking.
Neuroscience.
Yeah.
So that's not like a brain surgeon, is it?
No. Although I watched neurosurgery, that was as I do my degree. So I was one of the first people in the UK to do a straight neuroscience degree. So it's like 5 disciplines looking at how the brain works. So I was a failed medic. So I know you obviously with nursing.
Yeah.
So and through clearing, I got in to do neuroscience at Cardiff, and it was and I thought I loved that. And the thing that I struggled with, though, as I went through that sort of journey, was being stuck in a lab because you know me, like not talking with people. Yeah. So that was what made me think, okay, there's got to be something more. And so I actually had a bit of a section where my wife's GP, Lisa, and actually we wanted to have children. We had children, actually needed somebody to stay at home. So I came out of the lab. I was only looking at cells anyway and sort of switching in cells, so to speak. And but in the Heath, actually, in the hospital, to try and help people with transplants. And so actually I thought, no, this is a great time for me just to become a house dad, actually. And so I was a house husband, kept man for about 10 years. We've got 3 kids. And it was through that process that other things happened, which I guess we'll get to talk about. And that led me to think, actually, what I really, really love is helping people to understand their thinking and unlock that thinking to fulfill their purpose, to be the people that they're created to be, really. That's kind of the real heart. I think that's part of my purpose.
So we've known each other, I was working out last night, 20 years?
Oh, my goodness.
Amber's 18.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just going to be about that.
Yeah. Met at Glenwood Church.
Glenwood Church. Do you know, I remember when we met.
Okay.
Because you came, because I've used it in the work I've done with schools. There's a part talking about stories and that moment and being able to get that in people's minds so that people can actually pitch themselves being there. And the story I use is meeting you.
Okay.
And I say, I met this guy and he said, do you want to surf? And in church, at the back of the Glenwood Church. And I remember you came up with a hoodie, and you actually said, I hear that you might want to surf.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, I'd love to surf. And then the thing was, you said, well, I'm going, next couple of weekends, you want to come along?
Yeah.
I said, absolutely, brilliant. But the thing is, people don't realise that was February.
Okay, yeah.
And then you said, well, the other thing you need to know, Iain, is that I may not be here, I might be moving away and all that sort of stuff. So you've really got this opportunity. So I thought, well, I'm going to have this opportunity to do it. So I did it. And I honestly don't think I've ever been as cold in my whole life. So that honestly, it's Paul's call, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you were just making it look so easy. And I remember just thinking, I had a good wetsuit that I'd managed to save up and buy. And that was
You're
the
only person I know that can get seasick on a surfboard.
It's so true.
It's
so true.
Bobbing up and down. And
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's because I'm sensitive, Mike.
Oh, right, yes.
It's because I'm sensitive.
So, I travelled around the world, but we've always kind of kept in touch but reconnected more, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those lovely things about certain relationships, right? Is that you went to New Zealand and stayed in touch, and because with your Amber and our eldest has been a similar sort of age.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing. And then just watching you go through the transition from being an A&E nurse to the next bit, which was I'm going to do qualifications and then coming to be a pastor. And the thing I think I've most admired about you, Mike, is that you've genuinely, wholeheartedly gone for it with God.
Ah, thank you.
And sacrificially as well.
Yeah.
And I've been really challenged by that. And so actually, when you sort of came back and you just said, we're doing some work in the church in South Wales, it just made sense. Let's meet up again and see what's happening. And that's led to all sorts of other exciting things.
Yeah. So
Like being in the shed.
Like being in the shed.
Being in the shed.
Yeah. The shed.
The shed.
It's quite cool, isn't it?
It's a very cool shed.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, I made this one.
Yeah.
I did the artwork on that one.
Fantastic.
Anyway, that's the whole series in itself.
That's the whole series.
But,
and we're not bringing up the fact that I dropped your surfboard.
Yeah, Iain is the only person that dropped my surfboard, but it was only a week old, off a 6-foot wall. But anyway, we can talk about forgiveness, and it's fine. I'm over it. It's fine.
And yet, it's the thing that's both of our minds.
I know.
Okay.
So we started to connect professionally.
Yes.
About a year ago. So
yeah.
But basically, my story is Paul Van Essen, who was on Shed TV a couple of episodes.
Paul, yeah, cool.
Gave me a leadership book, and I opened it and read the first chapter and put the book down and thought, this is a great book, but I need to develop my leadership. I need to develop my personal management and that kind of stuff. And I knew what you were doing, so I literally found your number and rang you and said, Iain, would you coach me?
You did. I do remember that. You said, look, and because it was a slightly different conversation as well, wasn't it? It was like, we're mates,
yes.
But actually, I know you do this sort of coaching thing, and you said, and I really feel called that, you're the number. I do remember that conversation. You said, you're the number I need to call, and again, I'm real privileged and humbled by that.
Right, it's been an amazing journey because for me as a leader, like people think about coaching, right? They think that it's going to be some kind of long-haired hippie guru that's going to come and make you do Pilates. That's what I thought it was going to be. Do you know what I
I do know what you mean.
We're going to run around in Speedos.
Yeah. We could do that if you want.
We're not going to go there. But I just knew that it's all right praying about stuff and all that. But I needed some professional training.
Yeah.
From someone that understood my context.
Yeah.
And could help me and my leadership and help me transition. And I didn't know what the last year and a half was going to look like. And I don't think I would be here in ministry if it wasn't for you.
Wow.
I don't even know we would have a church if it wasn't for your input.
Or the work that we did together. I mean, as a coach, I would have to say that. Because if I'm good at in any sense as a coach, it's about the journey that we co-create together. I can't unlock your brain and your thinking without you doing that.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the hard way, both with my own journey, stuff that happens in my family, and so I know that. And I think there has to be an invitation, Mike. So it's really, I'm going to accept the compliment with gratitude, but at the same time say to you, it is a co-created thing. And unless you are doing that work, it wouldn't have happened either.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and your coaching has got me through some very emotionally demanding situations.
Yeah.
We've been to some deep places, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had anxiety and depression, basically, for everybody to help out, and I know how painful that is.
Yeah.
Literally painful, and it's a physical pain. It's really difficult to describe, being sort of stuck in that vortex. And I've had a number of counsellors and therapy sessions, one with an amazing lady who gave her time, again as a Christian, out of the space that she'd been in. And it made me realise again, actually there were people that could help, as you said, in a professional way. But the key thing again for me was it's how you, in coaching, is different from therapy. So therapy is trying to help people unpick stuff that's happened in the past, whereas coaching is going to the future. But I think also, with experience. So one of my favourite quotes is C.S. Lewis quotes, and unfortunately said no man, because that was back in the day. But so no person with an opinion can take away from a person with experience.
Yeah.
And the key thing there, I think, is the power that I'm hoping to be able to channel, and thank God for, is the ability to take that experience so that I can better connect with somebody else who's going through it. What I do, or what I try to do, and my associates and building a team, is not about saying I know what it's like exactly, because everybody's unique, but it's knowing that there is something that we can connect on that.
Yeah.
And some of my coaching, I think, it does borderline on therapy sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, I think, well, actually, if we're gonna really change how things are going to be for you, then we have to deal with the deep stuff.
Yeah.
That goes with the territory. And I think I honestly think again, I'm really thankful for my family, for my parents, and for my grandmother, my mum's mum particularly, who really gave me a great sense of being able to sit with people's pain.
Yeah, yeah.
And suffering, and that in itself being a useful part of the coaching experience.
Yeah, because like from my background, A&E, it's like, and my personality, I run at 100 mile an hour, and to almost admit failure or weakness, I'm just like, let's just keep plowing on. And the most frustrating and the most blessed thing about having you in my life is, the most frustrating thing is you don't answer my questions. Like, I'm just like, Iain, just tell me what to do. Shut up and stop.
Yeah.
But having having a coach in your life that develops you to answer your own questions.
Yes.
Which in a way almost slows you down.
Yes.
And because I think there's a lot of leaders out there that are looking for an answer.
Absolutely.
I get it. I get a coach on board. He'll tell me what to do, but you're coming and like, no. You need to slow down, you need to reflect, you even need to have a cry and emotionally connect with what's going on, you know?
Absolutely.
Don't just keep ploughing forward.
Absolutely.
You know?
I love, there's a guy I think I've mentioned to you, Martin Evans. He's written a book called Conversations with Impact. And the thing I got out of him, I wrote an article for the International Coach Federation. And we wrote this article, but the one thing that came out is that emotions are really helpful messages delivered in a really unhelpful way.
Yeah.
And I really like, so I've, again, sitting with that. And as you said, slowing down, I'm sure that mentorship is when people say, this is what I've done, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
And training as a coach and being credentialed by a professional body means that actually I need to do that more with you. So part of it, as you said, is the process of slowing down. But the other thing, Mike, is I don't know your life as well as you do.
Yeah.
And the danger is that my brain makes all sorts of assumptions about, and it will do it all the time because that's how brains work, right?
Yeah.
And so they can pattern predictors. And the danger is if I tell you what I think you should be doing, I'm making all sorts of other assumptions, and I'm not allowing you to make the connections in your own brain, which means it's your thing.
Yeah.
And that's infinitely more powerful. So there's that, and then there's a perspective. So the co-create part, which I've said to you before, we've mentioned before, is about allowing you and I to have that space, as you said, to slow it down, where I hope you see that I offer you.
Yeah.
I'm sensing this, or I'm feeling this, and it's really intense listening.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's tiring.
Yeah.
And I know you get frustrated with it, but I think that there is this other thing about wrestling with that, right? So there's that wrestling with how does that fit with me? How could that work?
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that, again, you know, that's giving you a greater sense of ownership of the things that come out of your coaching.
Well, like I was reflecting on a situation I went through only like 4 or 5 days ago. So at the beginning of my journey, ex-trauma nurse, right? Whole life has been driven by chaos. The more chaos, the more blood and guts that's flying around the place, the happier I was. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. I know. I know many stories.
Yeah,
You've
like,
told me.
know, if there's a pair of legs in the sink, we're having a good shift. Do you know what I mean? There's missing body parts. But that was my whole, like for 13, 14 years of my life, that was my whole threat. And before that, the outdoor pursuits industry was climbing mountains.
Yeah.
And suddenly I come into ministry, and before I met you, my life was going from one drama to another drama to another drama. And when we first met, it was one drama to another drama to another drama. And I was going back into that cycle. And I was reflecting the other day on this thing that happened, that through coaching, my mental process has changed.
Oh, man.
I was like, I'm not having the, screw you, I'm going to come around and knock you out kind of, you doing like to,
Yes.
oh, well, you know, we can work through this, you know. And I think if we're to be successful at planting churches in Wales, it's going to be full of a lot of chaos.
Yes.
And we've got to make sure that we don't have that chaos mindset, you know.
Yes. Or I wonder if it's that, and it's about recognizing that conflict and having disagreements is not a bad thing.
Yes.
So, rather than I've got to sort this out and then knock this person out until they actually, or, they get it. But this kind of, and I was listening to something the other day, and it was, the lady was talking about these sparkle moments.
Okay.
And really, it's these sparkle moments. I'll think of the name in a bit, but the idea of the sparkle moments, and that is when we have this kind of good disagreement. Justin Welby talks about good disagreement. I love that, and how he's got on with the Pope, and how people didn't think they would, and they've, radically different, but because they're having these different perspectives, and again, I think if God's created that massive difference in all of us, and we're meant to be in partnership, and part of it's about relationship, again, triune God. I mean, that's the whole point, right? So we're having this relationship, which means that we shouldn't be able to do it all by ourselves. So it's not about. So this is the other. So it's by slowing down. It's not just about. I've got to be right, and you, and I've got it, and you haven't. Yeah. It's not about that kind of conflict. It's about going, okay, how do we work that out? How do we work God's purpose on earth as we see it, and church, and what does that mean? Yeah. And particularly at the moment, with all the suffering that's going on, all the pain, all the geopolitics that are going on, and everything else. So, I'm really moved actually that you found, it seems when you just said that, it really hit me that you've kind of found a centre. Yeah. Which is obviously aligning with God, because I think there's this whole thing about when I work with this, right? It's that I say, it's great. We've got this spiritual connection, but we've got to try and work out the body connection as well, right? Yeah. So I'm just really.
For me personally, I feel that there's a shift in my leadership, in who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a sense of calm. There's a sense of being able to look beyond the immediate. We're all playing a long game. We had Chris, a guy on Shed TV who's planting a church. I didn't get to say, but my advice to him is think about the long game. Everybody comes out of Bible college and thinks they're going to start revival. Yes, that only happens to a few. It is that 8-10 year plan, and when you start having that kind of vision, the little speed bumps in between are just speed bumps.
I love that image. And I think that's so true, because I feel in so many different things that, if there's purpose, if we have purpose and we're fulfilling that purpose, it's about, it may not be in my lifetime. Yes. And you have to have that kind of long, because, God's got that longer vision, and we get caught up in success, right? Yes. So if I do it, I've got to be successful.
Because I was talking to one of the guys that oversees me, because my church is in a cake factory, right? It's getting there, isn't it? But it's still a bit rough and ready.
I do remember walking out when you first moved in, and it was sticky.
You stuck to the floor, didn't you, because of all the sugar? Yeah. But I remember saying to Barry, who oversees me, if all I ever do in my 30 or 40 years of ministry is make a building that's a great place for someone to come run a church, I'm all right with that. Yes. If I never have more than 50 people on us, I'm happy with that. Yeah. Because maybe my son or maybe someone else is going to come through, and maybe we'll see the explosion. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so where's that? Because I know this, to a certain extent, and of course I can't share everything. I wouldn't, because you can't do that. It's a coach professional relationship with each other. But I'm just interested, with that fire. What's because you said that I'd be okay with that, but I know that now you're going to a different place.
Yes. Anyway, it all gets a little bit spiritual when they all start crying on Shed TV. But anyway.
Okay, we'll do some crying afterwards.
For me personally, and the journey I've been on, and you've seen, what it's been like for 13 years, I have a calm confidence that I'm called to change a nation.
Wow.
And it may not happen in a week.
In a week.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? And for me as a leader is to make sure I surround myself with people. Like I've told you about the 3 or 4 weeks into our coaching. This sounds a bit, I don't know whether we should talk about this on Shed TV, but do you know what I mean? I'm talking vision, but I know that me and you will end up on a platform talking about our story, because there's so many people failing in ministry and not getting to the end goal because we've made ministry about, Pastor Iain, how many people have you got in your church? Yeah. You might have 3 people. Who cares, as long as you are doing what God's called you to do and you're running headlong into it?
Amen. And I think there's this thing about failing. You just mentioned failing, right?
Yeah.
So we're failing if we don't get to a certain number of people in our church, and certainly within a certain time. And there's this thing about the image that I like, and I haven't played with this for a while actually, is being careful about the seed that you plant.
Yeah.
And then there's another part to that, which is where do you plant that within the ground? And we've spoken outside of our coaching about the importance of that, because again, you could be a fantastic seed but in really rubbish soil and it's never going to work, or vice versa. Fantastic soil but not great seed. And I think in that as well is this, that's being mindful about what you're doing, and that's not necessarily about the fruit necessarily being the number of people. Yes. And the other thing then is about this idea of failing. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past, again, generally, is growth mindset. So the idea that you can learn through failure, and that we've got to allow each other to learn through each other's failure, and then to challenge each other, against an overused term, right, in love. Yeah. But it is loving each other through that process, so that actually, again, it's this relationship. It's what we co-create together. And I think one of the things that's going to happen, if we're going to see a church that's capable of meeting people where they need, in a way that's far more radical than any one way of doing it, it has to be through that partnership. And it has to be with, I can play to my strengths, you can play to your strengths. I can challenge your perspective, you challenge my perspective, without it being a personal attack. And also, not that I'm going to give you more credence to what you do necessarily, because you've got, a mega church, and I haven't.
I came up with this catch line: doves don't sharpen doves.
I like that. When you say that, I've got a vision of these two blooded doves. So.
Iron sharpens iron. We've had coaching sessions where I'm like, this is pointless. Like, all you've done is wind me up for 40 minutes. Because that's
a great advert right there.
Exactly. But it's iron sharpens iron.
It is.
And you forced me to reflect on where I'm at, where I'm going, what's the plan, what's the details, which I'm not a details person. And I don't know, I just think there is starting to become a coming together in Wales. That's all I know, where it's not about style. It's about heart, purpose, and vision, and how hard do you want to run after this? If you let's get together on how hard we're running. So it's like a race, isn't it? And there'll be lots of different groups in a race.
Yes.
Unity is coming about the pace we're running at.
I like that, and there's something about this. So it's aligning as well. So it's not there's a pace picking up. And I love that. Very pictorial.
You might be the church down the road that doesn't want to run at my pace. That doesn't mean we're not in unity. Let me introduce you to someone who wants to run at your pace, because the guy here wants to run at my pace.
And actually, as you said, sometimes slowing down is necessary, right? So that slowing down actually means that you're more useful, more ready to receive the ministry that you have. So it's not about, I'm going to be faster and therefore better. It's not about that. I think there's something else as well that you were talking about. The iron sharpens iron. And I think I've said to you before, when I've done training with your church, it's been like with your leadership team. I was thinking, I feel like I'm more the grit. Because actually, iron sharpening iron, it's not quite. You need a bit of grit in there as well. And I think I'm possibly, hopefully, the bit of the grit. And I think this slowing down as well is important, because it's not just the slowing down and wrestling. Because what's happening when you felt frustrated is me not giving in to you as your coach by going, I want to please you, or I want to make it easy for you. No, because we're getting to that boundary where something's about to change. And it's sitting with that a bit longer. And I think maybe that's the thing with us as church and church leaders. There's something about that as well, that we might find there's almost a little bit more pushback, and that's before we start thinking about spiritual battles. But we need to get through that, and we have to get through that frustration. I think the key thing is not to then, which is what our brain wants to try and do, is then attribute that to somebody or something, and usually that's the person that's not agreeing with us, and suddenly that's where we start to break apart again. So I think, sticking with our struggles, sticking with each other, recognising particularly as we get to this, hopefully, this place when we will witness that outpouring of what church could be. Well, that's a whole nother topic about what is church, right?
Well, we're coming to the end.
Already?
I know.
Wow.
I know. We can talk, can we?
We can.
Yeah. Iain, great coach. You know, get him in your world. You know, he just came and did a whole evening of leadership with us, and we went from doing coaching to what was a deeply spiritual moment at the end.
Yes.
Where I was like,
yes.
whoa,
yeah.
where God, you know. So, you know,
no,
I just want to, if you're a church leader out there, you need to get an Iain on your team, you know, because yes, we can all pray and hug each other, but sometimes we've got to wrestle with the nuts and bolts.
Yes.
And the personality types.
Yes.
You know.
Because that's part of our journey, right?
Yeah. Why does this guy want to plan everything? Let's just get on and do it. You know?
And wasn't it?
Yes.
So that's, again, understanding what our strengths are and then playing together as a team. And I would say it's really great. Thank you. I would love to work with people. I am really blessed and fortunate. I have a lot of people, associates. I mean, I'm like you, surrounding myself with some great people, some great ideas. So it's not a single person thing, but I love working with people like you, mate.
So good to get you back in the shed.
Oh, I'd love that.
And talk a little bit more about self-management and leadership and that kind of stuff.
That sounds. Do you know that would be brilliant?
Yeah,
that would be great. Are we gonna? And then again, we'll see if we can do the Hawaiian thing, or maybe a different type of shirt.
And we should go for a surf again.
Oh my goodness!
But you're not having my board. You're not having my board. Bring your own. Drop it off the wall on your own.
I know. Well, do you know? Actually, I don't know how much longer we've got, but do you remember the first time I had bought a board?
Oh, my friend ran it over.
Yes. On the board the board that I initially learnt to surf on. So you gave me a board and then I remember going paddling out, and this guy. By then I could catch a wave, and so it was the first time, and he went on that board, didn't he? And it was a really heavy board, so it was like really heavy, much bigger. And I actually put on my brand new board. Maybe that was it, because I then put the board in front. Because it was either me, because he lost the board. It was either me or my board. But he dinged it before he even surfed it. So, but I now wear it as a badge of honour.
We'll be praying for you, Iain.
Thank you.
But hey guys, thank you for watching another episode of Shed TV. If we've said anything that has challenged you or resonated with you and you want to talk more, please contact us. We'd love to chat with you. Don't be isolated. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on Shed TV, and we look forward to having you again soon.
It's a pleasure, mate.
Well, this is my shed. It lives by a hedge in my tiny little yard. Swear you'll hear us harping on.